Greetings, travelers, and welcome to the paradise that is the Roll for Crit preview of Robinson Crusoe Escape from Despair Island. In this game, you will be taking on the role of stranded islanders, taking on similar journeys of Robinson Crusoe, trying to survive and possibly escape this horrific island.
Essentially, it's a push your luck card game. All players, it goes from 1 to 4, are going to have some cards that represent food. There's just one deck of cards, and when they're face down, they're your food. If they're face up, they have different effects that we'll get into later. So before each turn, you have to eat. So you'll be spending one card, discarding it to eat that food. Then you're going to flip over cards from the top of this deck. That's the exploration phase. And you can keep going as long as you want, but certain cards may come out that will hurt you, and you may want to stop and take some of those to add to your personal collection over here. That's your base, which could be made up of different types of food or equipment. And then there's a chance for the other player to be able to purchase cards that you didn't want from ones that you got, or multiple players if there are that many. And that's how it goes until someone either meets a victory condition or this deck runs out twice, in which case you count up victory points, which some cards have printed up here, and whoever has the most wins. So why don't we go through what a turn might actually look like?
Right, so starting off with me, I would pay food at the start of my turn.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right, good. I start flipping. All right, so this first card is a threat card. Now, the first one doesn't matter, but if you see two, you have to stop flipping and deal with the harder of the two. You'll see there's a number of skulls in the corner. Now, you can possibly beat them if you have the resources for them. Probably won't very early on in the game. If you do, you can do the bottom reward, which is either keep drawing or just get some food, and you could possibly keep going. If not, your turn just instantly ends and goes to the next player. So, let's say I see one, I keep flipping. This is a card I could possibly build if you have an axe and wood or spend 4 food. I actually have those components, but I'm going to keep pushing because I want to get more food possibly, or maybe something else. So, all right, cards like these would usually give food. So they have like a food symbol, how much food you get, which would just be taken from the top. But I need a box to collect that. And unfortunately, I don't have a box.
You can't just hold potatoes.
No.
You need a box to hold
Obviously, everyone knows that. So push my luck. Oh, okay. This is a bad luck. There's also good luck. And what happens is, it's not like a threat which ends your turn. You just do the effect right away. In this case, everyone would lose half their food if they have 6 or more. I think I'm not going to do that for the sake of this argument because I think I counted exactly. Okay, 2 threats. I do not have any of the symbols for this one, so my turn just ends. I'm not able to get anything. My exploration failed.
And all those cards go away, so I don't have a chance to get any of them either. So let's say I would go next, and let's start flipping from the top once again. Hey, look, a box! That's a great thing, so that I know if food comes out, I could get a hold of that and maybe get some potatoes. Sometimes they will also give you other features, such as protection against some of those threat cards, depending on what symbols you have. So, you can figure that out. Again, it would require something like, in this case, a wood and an axe. So maybe I decide to keep flipping some more to see what I can get. We've got a beacon campfire here. That is one of those victory condition cards. So you could potentially win the game with this if you have the right requirements. I don't right now, so I might flip. There's another one right there, escape the island. So they might require different things. This one needs wood, for instance. This one over here actually requires a boat, which in this case I do have, but I don't have the other component of that card. I don't have the teacher card. So I unfortunately still cannot complete those requirements. So I'd probably keep going once again. Hey, some food. That's a great one because unlike the potatoes, there is no requirement. I can quite simply just go ahead and get 6 food right there, which is really nice.
All those tasty goats.
They're really good, those goats. So I would go ahead, take that herd of goats, discard it in exchange for 6 food, which would come right off the top of the deck, and go into my personal stack. Now, those 3 cards are still potentially up for grabs by another player. So this is the market phase.
Now, I don't have any of those win conditions, but I could build the box. And if you recall, I couldn't get those potatoes because I didn't have it. So I will say, yes, I will buy the boxes. Now, to do so, I have to first pay whoever's turn it is 1 food.
Fair.
And then pay the cost of the corner. So that would be 4 cards. This is why I didn't just do the bad luck earlier, because it'd be a little confusing. And then now I have boxes. So if I was to flip the potato, or I think berries is the other card that uses boxes, I can now get that food from that. And this helps with some of the storm cards, which is also very helpful.
Yeah, so then the rest of these would go away, and you would keep playing like that until somebody eventually can meet one of those conditions, or like I said, the deck runs out 2 times.
Or everyone loses all their food.
Right. Yeah, if you run out of food, you can actually use some of the components of your own base instead. You can, like, I might trade in Poor Friday here if I was desperate. I don't think that means you're eating him. I hope not thematically.
Well, that'd be a little weird because am I eating a box?
I don't know. That's up to you to decide. And yeah, if you are out of everything, then you're pretty much eliminated. So like I said, 1 to 4 players. So for a solo game, it definitely would work just the same way. You just wouldn't have other players.
So we didn't really show this because of the camera space, but should have discarded the wood when I built the box because tools are reusable, very luckily. They don't break once. But like some resources will have either the infinity or 1. If they're 1, that means that it turns into like 1 charge. You have 1 log. I can only build 1 box. I can't keep using this wood over and over to build everything.
Right.
So you have to keep an / on that to make sure you have enough resources to build whatever you need to.
So this is to my knowledge, 3rd Robinson Crusoe based board game / card game that I'm familiar with. There's of course Friday and Robinson Crusoe, the Portal version. And this definitely takes some cues, I would say, from Friday. It's also kind of a push your luck as well as with elements of engine building, really, is what it is, because you kind of end up with, if you get a rifle, then later on a bird hunting card comes out and you can use your rifle to hunt those birds. So you're building on what you have. And that's a lot of the strategy is in, of course, deciding when to stop or keep going, but also which cards to take and which ones you're maybe afraid your opponents will be able to get.
Well, I think one of the press your luck isn't just simply flipping over cards and hitting those tragic threat cards. Thank you. It's a lot of times, like let's say this was the lineup, and I'm in the market phase, and that this is up, and I'm like, that gives me 2 tools, which is great. But if I only have like 4 or 5 food, I'm really hoping I get food on my turn. So it's also the market phase. How much food are you willing to gamble with?
Yeah. Food can be very, if you don't have a lot of food, it's pretty limiting. That's really like your number 1 priority, just like on a real island. I mean, the game can be challenging and punishing, especially early on. And there's also a little bit of an element of, I think, knowing what cards might come out, and especially if you cycle through this once, which I think is pretty likely because it's pretty hard to meet any of those victory conditions before you go through this.
And especially we noticed because at first you're like, that's a huge deck to shuffle, but then you're like, all right, so I go through 5 and I take the thing that takes 6 food, so you're almost going through like 10 to 15 cards per I guess per turn.
Per turn. And one nice thing about this too, everything that you see here is what the game is. It is 1 deck. These cards are both your food and your items and resources. So it comes in a tiny box you can see behind us. And setup is literally shuffle this deck, give everyone some cards, and you're ready to go. Which is nice because it's still it has it's a lighter game. It has a little bit of depth to it in terms of there's definitely different items and different kind of paths you can take, and maybe you want to go for victory points and hope that the deck does run out and that's how you win, or maybe that there's that boat card that you can get, so you're specifically trying to go for that specific victory condition.
Right.
A couple different things that you can do, but it's all just right here, so it's like really easy to set up and tear down.
Overall, a light game, but the push your luck does add an interesting amount of stress because you do have to think about, as you said, building your engine is what you use of like, if I get enough of these, I don't have to worry about storm cards anymore, which means I can push that luck there. But it's not simply as 1 card. Usually a storm needs 2 or 3 or something.
Right.
So there is a bit more like, that is what I'm going to try to prepare so I can push luck there. So maybe I can go for setting the bonfire or not. And you don't have to bring a lot with you. Deck of cards, as you said, small, which also, for being on island, that is a delicious dinner.
Yeah, I can't make that in my own home with all the tools in my kitchen.
So if you want to take a look more at this game, you can look at the Kickstarter. We have a link down below. Let us know what your thoughts on it. But until then, I'm Will.
I'm Jonathan.
And this has been a Roll for Creep preview.
We would love it if you liked and subscribed to this channel and supported us on Patreon as well.
If you choose to support us, turn to page 25.